If your body paragraphs are all written, it's time to think about that introduction. Remember that you should have your thesis idea already formulated before you write any of the body paragraphs. However, the intro itself can come later. Once you get adept at writing essays, you may start out with the intro before you even do the body paragraphs, but when you get to this stage, you'll probably already have planned some of the body of the essay in your head. There are a lot of ways to write an introduction, but when you're writing a book analysis, here are some simple rules. First, you need to have a lead. That brings the reader into your topic. You also need to have the name of the book and the author of the book somewhere in that intro. You got to have the thesis statement in there, and you should briefly explain the main points of your body paragraphs or indicate the overall structure of the argument so the reader knows kind of what to expect as they are reading the essay. The lead can be the most fun part of the intro, but also the most frustrating if you can't think of a good way to begin. Here are some ideas. One, you could summarize the plot of the book briefly. It's not a very good one if the audience kind of knows the book, but it's a good one for one where they don't. You could also share a personal connection that you have with the topic of the novel or the topic of your essay. You could personally connect with one of the characters. You could explore the general topic of the book or the essay itself before you go specifically into the book. Or you could have an important quote, fact, or statistic and connect that to the quote. For my lead, I chose to discuss the general topic of fathers and sons and how that concept occurs all the time in literature. I mentioned 3 classic examples. The reason I mentioned famous examples is to engage the reader. If I had mentioned unknown examples, I might have confused the reader instead, and I'm confusing enough as it is without adding more confusion to the mix. Also, be sure to mention the title and the author of the book or books you are discussing. This seems really obvious, but many students just begin by jumping right to the thesis and neglecting to mention to the reader what book they're even analyzing. The heart of your intro is the thesis statement. You shouldn't start the intro with the thesis statement, but instead get to it through the connection to your lead. And here's my finished intro. I color-coded it so you could see the 3 parts: lead, connection, and thesis. It goes like this. The complexity of the father-son relationship has been a driving force in many of the most powerful stories of our culture, especially those involving heroes. Oedipus unwittingly killed his father to become the king. King Arthur was orphaned from his father and then killed by his own son. And Luke Skywalker had to deny his father and then redeem him. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey is another story with an epic hero and a complex father-son relationship. In this case, the hero saves the main character by serving as a father figure. In the novel, Chief Bromden comes to terms with his father and himself through the help of McMurphy, who unknowingly fights the same fight as the Chief's father, but with more success. Because the Chief makes a connection between McMurphy and his father, he's able to come to grips with the mistakes his father made and heal himself in the process. Any last questions? Be sure to ask me. One final piece of advice, don't be afraid to experiment with the intro. Try different types of leads, try rewording your thesis a few times, try working in the title and author different ways. Once you get the right recipe for your intro, it will sound correct in your head when you read it. Good luck! Once you finish the first 4 steps of the essay writing process, move on to your conclusion. You're almost done.